If you remember giant Megazords, hip-hop keto, and sparks shooting out of spandex, then you grew up watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And this year, the original Rangers return in Rita's Rewind, a side-scrolling beat-em-up from Digital Eclipse. But is this a nostalgic throwback we were promised, or just another licensed game? Well, let's jump in and find out. The game opens with an animated intro that features all the iconic elements from the show as a taste of things to come. We've got the Rangers fighting villains of the week, Giant Goldar, the Megazord, and of course Zag doing his iconic jig. Despite looking like a game from 1994, Rita's Rewind is actually set in 2023, right after the events of the Once and Always special. It begins with Robo Rita traveling back to the start of the show's timeline to team up with her regular self and mess everything up. The first level is aptly named Yesterday of the Dumpster, a callback to the title of the very first episode. And these first few levels are a retelling of the pilot episode. You go through the wastelands outside before transitioning to the city streets and then the rooftops where you take on Goldar. And straight away, fans of the show will notice a bunch of different Easter eggs. From billboards to mementos to Mr. Kaplan who's hiding in the dumpster. You see, he is one of the 4 civilians that you can rescue throughout the game. However, there are signs that the timeline has been altered. For example, in addition to the Putty Patrol, the early levels now also feature the Tenga Warriors from later on in the show. Now, gameplay-wise, this is a pretty standard retro side-scrolling beat-em-up. But that's not a bad thing. Rita's Rewind takes a lot of inspiration from classics like the Streets of Rage and Ninja Turtles games when it comes to combat, level design, and general aesthetics. The developers also took inspiration from modern revivals like Shredder's Revenge when trying to strike that balance between a retro feel and modern conveniences. For example, the game has 5 visual filters. The default CRT1 with the scan lines and a bit of warping around the edges to emulate the look of an old TV, CRT2 without the warping, 720p mode which cleans things up but still has a bit of that retro look, and telescope to emulate the look of the old arcade machines. And if you're not a fan of any of them, you can just have the standard clean mode so you can enjoy every pixel. If you're playing this game on PlayStation 4 or 5, your controller color will change depending on which Ranger you play as. The game starts with all 5 classic Rangers already playable. The main thing that sets them apart are their special moves, but they do also have little differences in the way they fight and move. Every now and then the putties will bring out the Time Displacer, which you have to break before it activates and rewinds everything back a few seconds. This is a nice touch, but I do wish the developers would have done more with the rewind mechanic. Now, just like in the series, once the Rangers defeat Goldar, Rita makes him grow. And you know what that means. The Megazord battle is split into 2 sections. First is the Star Fox-esque chase section where you play as one of the single Zords. Now, I know that we all have our favorite Zord, but the Pterodactyl seems to have a noticeable advantage over the land-based bots, mainly because it can just glide out of the way of the enemy's attacks. After finishing the chase sequence, the Zords combine into the Megazord and we get this first-person section. Now, the gameplay here is nothing special. You've got to dodge Goldar's attacks and give him the old 1-2. But it's the presentation where this game excels. From the villain's animation to the Rangers freaking out inside the cockpit every time they get hit. With Goldar defeated, the crew move to the youth center, which acts as this game's hub. We've got Bulk and Skull, who have their own theme when you talk to them. The civilians that you've rescued, and of course Ernie, forever cleaning that pesky stain on the counter. Plus you get these arcade machines with weird little mini games that you can unlock. Is this a reference to something in the show that I don't remember? This is followed by a level at the waste side from the Cleanup Club episode. However, this time it ends with a boss battle against the Chunky Chicken and Turkey Jerk. And this is a great behind-the-scenes Easter egg, because the Chunky Chicken costume would later be repurposed into Turkey Jerk by the American production team in the 2nd season of the show. This is followed by a Shark Cycle section where the Rangers chase down and destroy the mobile time disruptors while causing untold collateral damage. To be honest, if you're driving home and you see a bunch of spandex wearing teenagers on bikes chasing a tank, you should probably find another route home. Also, this game has a really good soundtrack. There isn't that much variety, but the tracks that are there are really strong.
Jumping in!
Now at this point the game gets into a steady rhythm. We get nostalgic levels from the series like the Carnival, the Downtown, and the Angel Grove Park, many of them ending with a boss battle against a villain of the week like I Guy and Madam Woe. These are interspliced with an occasional bike level or a Megazord battle. And all of these are nice callbacks, but we all know what we came here for. Rita's Rewind tells a simplified version of the Green with Evil arc from the show. You run into Tommy, who's already possessed by Rita, and then chase him through the rooftops with the Dragozord in the background. Poor Dragozord, look, it just doesn't quite know what to do with its hands. Also, I like how Robo Rita comes from the future, so she knows this whole Green Ranger thing isn't going to work out, but she just decides to do it again anyway. You fight Tommy in a boss battle and then engage the Megazord sequence. Now, both of these sections are pretty similar to their previous iterations, only this time you fight the Dragozord in the water. Unfortunately, you don't unlock the Green Ranger at this point. Instead, you travel to the moon and do one final level which involves you defeating Robo Rita once and for all. Well, maybe not, because the post-credit sequence shows her head flying through space and then the Lord Zed logo, which hints at a sequel, along with the Tigerzord Easter egg in the park level. Now, completing the game does unlock the Green Ranger as a playable character and a playable Zord in the chase sections. Unfortunately, there's no sign of him in the actual Megazord fight. The game offers 2-player online co-op and up to 4 players on PlayStation 5 and up to 6 players on Xbox, PC, and Switch. And I think this is where the game really shines. Just like classic beat-em-ups, Rita's Rewind is best played with a friend or 4. And it's a really short game, so you can pretty much beat it in a single sitting, which is one of the downsides. I really do wish they would have added a few more levels, and whilst I appreciate the Megazord battles, they are all very similar. Plus, apart from unlocking the Green Ranger and collecting all the mementos, I don't really see that much replayability here, which is a shame because they could have done some really cool things with the time travel and time rewind concept. But what this game lacks in content, it certainly makes up for in style and presentation. It's clear the developers were fans of the original show and packed the game with a ton of references, characters, and Easter eggs. So if you're a fan of the show and a 90s kid who grew up playing old beat-em-ups, then you're in for a short but amazing ride. But that's just my take. Please let me know your thoughts on Rita's Rewind in the comments below. And also let me know if you'd like me to compare older Power Rangers games in the future. As always, thanks for watching. Please consider supporting me on Patreon, and a big thanks to my existing patrons. If you've enjoyed this video, then please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.